in the far north of Italy rises one of the most breathtaking mountain ranges in the Alps. With sheer rock walls towering hundreds of meters above the landscape, vast alpine meadows, and trails leading you to views you will never forget. This rugged land of crystal-clear lakes and charming mountain villages sets the stage for an unforgettable journey. Lace up your hiking boots and join me on this top destination. Welcome to the Dolomites. I start my 7-day journey in the north, where I cross the Italian border near the town of San Candido. Rugged mountain peaks tower ahead, and after just a few kilometers, I reach the Val Fiscalina parking lot, my first stop. From here, I will climb to the Tre Cime, perhaps the most famous mountain group in the Dolomites. Since it is a long route, I start early in the morning. From the parking lot, I first walk through part of the valley before the real climb begins. The ascent is tough, with about 1,000 meters of elevation gain over a distance of 6 kilometers. But the higher I climb, the more breathtaking the landscape becomes. After roughly 2.5 hours, the Tre Cime finally comes into view, and I am rewarded with an incredible panorama. From the Dreizinenhütte, the view of this rock formation is simply stunning. And there is also a slightly higher cave that offers an even more spectacular perspective. The hut is the perfect place to take a break from the climb and enjoy the panoramic view. Unfortunately, the route I had planned is closed, so I have to take a detour to get back on track. This gives me the chance to walk to the base of the 3 peaks. This route is more touristy, as there is a parking lot behind the rock formation, making the spot much more accessible. The closer I get, the more massive the formation becomes. It is almost unreal how this landscape has been shaped. From this point, the second part of the route begins, leading me via the Zsigmondyhütte back to the parking lot. I leave the touristy section behind and descend for a while. Along the way, I encounter an alpine marmot, which lets out a sharp whistle to warn the entire colony of my presence. A typical behavior for these animals, which live throughout the Alps, but it feels truly special to experience it up close like this. On this part of the route, you only occasionally see other hikers, which I find remarkable, because this section is actually even more beautiful. The narrow paths guide you past the most stunning viewpoints, and it feels almost unreal to be walking here. A long staircase, carved into the rocks, takes me a little higher. And once again, the views are absolutely breathtaking. I take a moment to enjoy this place before beginning the long descent of the route. After several kilometers downhill, the Zsigmondyhütte comes into sight. I make a brief stop to greet the donkeys, and then continue on. Just when you think it can't get any better, the landscape surprises you again, changing with every kilometer. The entire route is quite demanding, covering more than 25 kilometers in distance and nearly 1,700 meters of elevation gain, and it is certainly not for everyone. After more than 9 hours of climbing and descending, I finally arrive back at the parking lot. This trail definitely ranks high in my personal top 10 of hikes I've ever done. Though it is challenging, the experience and the views make every single step worthwhile. Day 2 begins in the charming town of San Candido. This historic place is especially famous for its centuries-old churches and picturesque town center. making it the perfect spot to rest after yesterday's long climb, which isn't far from here. Just outside the center, you can find the Außerkirche, built in the 17th century by a merchant who had grown wealthy in Venice. The church consists of a chapel dedicated to Mary, where numerous colorful statues depict various scenes, and a chapel that is a miniature replica of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. This chapel was intended to give people who could not travel a pilgrimage experience, and it became a small pilgrimage site for the local population. As I walk into the town center, one building immediately catches my eye. Villa Wachtler, built in 1911 in the style of an Alpine Art Nouveau castle. It was named after a family who were pioneers in exploring the Dolomites, particularly in the fields of fossils and minerals. This heritage is reflected around the building with various animal motifs. In the center, you can also find the Franziskanerkirche, built in the 18th century by the Franciscan order. Its interior is austere, typical of the order, which placed great value on simplicity. In contrast, at the heart of the town stands the richly decorated Pfarrkirche with its white round tower. The interior is the complete opposite of the previous church, adorned with paintings, statues, and an impressive altar. Behind this church, in the middle of the old town, stands the most remarkable church of all, the Collegiata di San Candido. This is one of the most impressive Romanesque churches in the Dolomites, with origins dating back to 769. After a devastating fire around 1200, the current church was consecrated in 1284, with the tower added roughly 50 years later. As I mentioned, the town is especially known for its religious influences, which are evident in the many churches and chapels scattered throughout San Candido. From this town, I drive eastward and make a short stop at the Cascata del Pissandolo, a beautiful waterfall located right along the road. Surrounded by rocky cliffs and dense forest, it is the perfect place to pause for a moment. A little further along the route, I pass a crumbling red building. These traditional houses were once home to the road worker and his family, from where the surrounding roads were maintained. It's a remarkable piece of history, one you might easily pass by without giving it a second thought. Near the village of Padola lies a remarkable dam that was originally built to transport timber. The first version, made of wood, dates back to the 16th century, but it was later rebuilt in stone at the beginning of the 19th century. In the year 2000, the wooden roof was restored, and this unique monument from the past was open to visitors. It is the only structure of its kind in all of Europe, a rare reminder of how timber transport once shaped life in these mountain valleys. From this centuries-old dam, I continue my journey to another one, built much more recently in the 1930s. This dam created Lago di Santa Caterina, a stunning turquoise lake on which the village of Auronzo is situated. Here, I take a walk around part of the lake. In addition to the dam itself, there are two bridges that allow access to the opposite side of the lake. No matter where you stand, the view of the lake with the towering mountain peaks is simply breathtaking. Along the route, you'll also find all kinds of dinosaur statues, making this walk especially enjoyable for children. I continue along the route, and not far from the lake, the road passes by the Sorapis mountain range. The peaks here are truly indescribable. As you drive through the valleys, it's hard to imagine how this stunning landscape was formed. The final stop of the day is one of the most famous and largest lakes in the Dolomites, Lago di Misurina. It is particularly renowned for its breathtaking location, sitting directly on the other side of the Tre Cime, the mountain I climbed yesterday. A roughly 3-kilometer walk around the lake passes several hotels, all offering magnificent views of the surrounding mountains. The lake is often used for swimming in the summer, but boating and rowing are also very popular. It's a wonderful place to end the day calmly. Prepare for another beautiful hike on day 3. Not far from where I finished yesterday, I set out very early in the morning for a beautiful but long hike. The end point of the route is Lago di Sorapis, one of the most magical lakes in Italy. To reach this mountain lake, you follow a trail of nearly 7 kilometers, offering breathtaking views along the way. Though in some places, the path becomes very narrow. It is therefore not recommended for anyone with a fear of heights. There are several routes leading to the lake, but the one starting from Passo Tre Cime, where I began, is the most common. Especially in high season, it is wise to start very early to avoid the crowds, as it takes about 2 hours to reach the lake over narrow trails. Just before arriving, you pass a mountain hut that, during my visit, was being resupplied by helicopter. A fascinating sight in this alpine setting. And then it appears, the bluest lake I have ever seen in my life. The color is almost unreal, and that is exactly what the lake is famous for. Combined with the steep, rugged rock walls surrounding it, the scene is nothing short of perfect. Walking around the lake feels like stepping into a fairy tale, a place that leaves you speechless and makes you feel the sheer power of the mountains. To protect the lake and its unique color, swimming is forbidden, but that should not stop you from making the hike to this breathtaking spot. On my way back along the same trail, I noticed just how many people are now on their way up. I feel grateful that I was able to experience this hidden jewel high in the mountains in complete peace. After this incredibly beautiful hike, I visit the town of Cortina d'Ampezzo. This is one of the most famous mountain towns and is often called the Queen of the Dolomites, thanks to its spectacular natural surroundings, luxury resorts, and ski opportunities. In 1956, the Winter Olympics were held here, and in 2026, part of the Games will again take place here, together with Milan. During my visit, the ultra trail was taking place in the surrounding mountains. This race covers distances of up to 120 kilometers with nearly 6,000 meters of elevation gain, making it extremely challenging. The runners are warmly welcomed by the town for their incredible efforts. North of the town lies the tranquil Lago di Landro, a true swimming paradise of the Dolomites. Clear waters, white sand, and the dramatic mountains in the background make it a stunning place to relax. A trail of about 2.5 kilometers circles the entire lake. On the northern side, there's also a viewpoint that offers a completely different perspective of the Tre Cime. I continue my journey to yet another beautiful and final mountain lake of the day, Lago di Braies. This lake is famous for its emerald green and deep blue colors, which change with the seasons. Surrounded by steep mountain walls and dense forests, it feels almost like a fairy tale setting. This natural glacial lake, lying at an altitude of about 1,500 meters, stretches 1.2 kilometers in length and reaches depths of up to 36 meters. The lake is also shrouded in legend. According to an old tale, it is said to be the gateway to a hidden underworld. Even today, standing along its shores, the atmosphere feels slightly mysterious. Whether you enjoy it from a wooden rowing boat or on the 5-kilometer hike around its waters, it truly feels like gazing at a painting. Close to the lake, there is a large parking lot, so no long hike is needed to witness this breathtaking sight with your own eyes. In the neighboring valley, I end my day in Ponticella, a small settlement in Val di Braies where a beautiful alpine meadow unfolds. The cows here literally walk right up to you, making this place even more charming. The surrounding mountains are once again breathtaking. It doesn't matter where you are, the rugged landscape never fails to impress. It's a stunning setting to peacefully end the day. The next morning, Castle Welsperg suddenly appears, hidden among the mountains. It was built in the year 1140 by one of the oldest noble families of Tyrol and served for centuries as both a defensive fortress and the family's residence. From here, I drive south, passing through the town of Corvara until I reach the area where the Lagazuoi cable car is located. In just about 3 minutes, the lift carries you to the summit of Monte Lagazuoi at 2,752 meters. From the top, you're rewarded with a breathtaking panoramic view over countless peaks, including the Marmolada and the Tofane. It's not only a place of incredible natural beauty, but also of deep historical significance. During the First World War, the front line between Italy and Austria ran right across this mountain. Traces of that time can still be found everywhere, including an extensive tunnel system stretching hundreds of meters through the rock. These tunnels were carved out by hand by Italian soldiers as both sides tried to gain control of the summit, literally fighting to conquer the mountain from within. Walking through these tunnels is a unique and moving experience, a journey through the dark history of this region. From the top, where a small mountain hut is located, I make my way back down to the valley station. The descent of about 4 kilometers passes several of the tunnel entrances, and it's also possible to climb or descend partially through the tunnels, though you'll need a helmet and a good light source. It's a beautiful hike down, offering spectacular views of the surrounding landscape all the way. After this beautiful mountain drive, I continue along the scenic roads to the village of Alaga. This picturesque town sits by the lake of the same name, which was formed after a natural disaster in 1771. Part of the mountain slid down, destroying the village and blocking the valley. The lake was created, and the village was rebuilt. About 18 kilometers further south lies the village of Agordo, located on the banks of the Rio Cordovole. This village is also surrounded by impressive mountains, making the views from the narrow streets truly spectacular. One striking building is Crotta Palace, situated in the heart of the village. This stately palace was built in the 17th century by a noble family that wielded significant influence in the region. It served as both a residence and an administrative center for the estates they owned. After visiting these two charming villages, I continue deeper into the Dolomites. Passing through beautiful mountain villages and stunning valleys, I eventually reach Passo Giau. This popular route, with its 52 hairpin bends, sits at an altitude of 2,236 meters and is one of the most spectacular mountain passes in the Dolomites. The green alpine meadows contrasted with towering rock walls make this drive an unforgettable experience that I savor every moment. At the highest point of the route, I end my day and take in the surroundings from above. While the landscape already looks incredible from the road, the aerial perspective is truly breathtaking. Atop the towering cliffs lies Refugio Nuvolau, a hut perched in an almost surreal location. With the sunset approaching, I prepare for tomorrow's hike, which will include the climb to this breathtaking mountain hut. Early in the morning, I start a beautiful hike from Passo Giau toward the Cinque Torri. Walking counterclockwise around the mountain, the landscape slowly awakens around me. Rugged valleys, massive rocks, and towering cliffs begin to reveal themselves. It's a trail not often walked, but one I can highly recommend. The first 4 kilometers are quite manageable, with several climbs and descents of a few hundred meters. And along the way, the views of the surrounding terrain are stunning. Gradually, the Cinque Torri come into sight. The name refers to the 5 impressive towers of Dolomitic rock, shaped over time by erosion. The highest tower reaches 2,361 meters and is a favorite among climbers. Not only the towers themselves, but the entire area attracts many visitors eager to scale the rocky walls. From here, the climb toward the mountain hut begins. At the farthest point, the trail passes near the cable car, a great alternative for those who prefer a shorter walk, yet still want to visit the Cinque Torri. I ascend about 400 meters to reach Refugio Nuvolau. Perched on the summit of Monte Nuvolau at 2,574 meters, this hut was built in 1883, making it the oldest mountain hut in the Dolomites, and even one of the most remarkable places in the entire region. Today, it's a peaceful spot to rest after the demanding climb, but during the First World War, it served as a strategic observation point, and it's easy to understand why. The panoramic views from up here are absolutely breathtaking. Descending on the western side of the mountain, the rocky and steep paths make the way down quite challenging. The full loop I walked covers about 10 kilometers, including the climb to the hut. The first section, in particular, is one few people take. But this 4-hour hike is truly one of the most rewarding routes I've done. About 10 kilometers south of Cortina d'Ampezzo, I make a short stop in the village of San Vito di Cadore. A small settlement in the valley of the Boit River, it is surrounded by some of the most impressive peaks, including Monte Lagazuoi, which at 3,263 meters is often called the King of the Dolomites. In the heart of the village stands the imposing Chiesa de Santi Vito, a church with a slender bell tower slightly detached from the main building. Its origins date back to the 15th century, and in later centuries it was expanded in a neoclassical style. Inside, the church is richly decorated with Venetian-style altars and numerous paintings, and it feels much larger than it appears from the outside. San Vito di Cadore is definitely worth a visit, if only to enjoy the majestic mountains that rise dramatically above the village rooftops. Unfortunately, the first drops of rain begin to fall. Further south in the same valley, I make a short stop at an old watermill. This complex was originally built in the 19th century to harness the power of the water for sawing timber. It is a remarkable place, full of history, showing how people once worked with the hard mountain wood. And it's not just the mill that is special here. The old railway line, complete with tunnels, now serves as a cycling route that runs alongside it. I always find it fascinating to see old infrastructure given a new purpose within the landscape, preserving these remarkable structures for future generations. After a long drive through the rain, I arrive in the city of Belluno, located on the southern edge of the Dolomites. A long lift takes you from the lower part of the city up to its heart, where a pleasant surprise awaits, Piazza Duomo. The city immediately feels very different from all the other towns and villages in the Dolomites. With its narrow alleys, open squares, and elegant facades, Belluno feels unmistakably Italian, whereas other parts of the region still carry strong Austrian influences. It's a city rich in history, visible in its medieval gates, grand palaces, and impressive theater. Belluno is no longer a mountain village. You can truly feel the transition from the rugged Dolomites to the warmer rhythm of Italian life. Italy feels just a little closer here. On my way to my overnight stop, the weather shifts between rain showers and brief dry moments, with the mountains occasionally breaking through the clouds. I end the day in Fiera di Primiero, where I take an evening walk through its old, narrow streets. This village was once a thriving center of metal mining. Silver and iron were extracted from the surrounding mountains, bringing great wealth to the town. That prosperity lasted until the 18th century, when the mines were exhausted and Fiera di Primiero lost its economic power. In the heart of the village stands the Chiesa Archipretale Santa Maria Assunta, its Gothic tower watching over the town for centuries. Originally built in the 15th century in Gothic style, it was later partially redesigned in Baroque and neoclassical form. The exterior is modest, but inside, the church is richly decorated with beautiful details. After a restless night, I continue where I left off, but this time under a bright blue sky. A short morning walk takes me along the river that flows through the village. The wooden footbridges crossing the water give the town much of its charm. The scent of the wood and the sound of flowing water make for a perfect start to the day. Heading north, I continue my journey and make a short stop in the village of San Martino di Castrozza. This beautiful mountain village, located at an altitude of about 1,450 meters, originated from a small settlement around a monastery in the 17th century. Today, it is an important center for both mountain and winter sports. From the village, the road winds another 600 meters upward to Passo Rolle. This mountain pass offers breathtaking views of the surrounding range, especially of the Cimon della Pala, often called the Matterhorn of the Dolomites because of its striking, sharp silhouette. A few kilometers further lies the next mountain pass, Passo Valles, which has a completely different atmosphere. The rugged landscape gives way here to a green valley filled with alpine meadows. Cows resting peacefully in the quiet scenery make it the perfect place to pause and take it all in. Above the pass stands a small wooden chapel built in the traditional alpine style, blending harmoniously into the stunning mountain landscape. The next stop today is a special one. By cable car, I ascend in 3 stages to one of the highest points in the Dolomites, the Marmolada Massif, where a breathtaking view awaits. The upper station, Punta Rocca, sits at an altitude of 3,265 meters, making it one of the highest cable cars in all of Italy. Here you'll find not only the highest peak in the Dolomites, but also the largest, and one of the last remaining glaciers in the region. The bright, glistening ice forms a striking contrast with the rugged gray rock that surrounds it. Only with a guide are visitors allowed to step beyond the station to set foot on the glacier, as melting ice has made it too dangerous to explore without proper knowledge of the terrain. Hidden beneath the station lies the Grotto of the Madonna, a small chapel that stands as a symbol of peace. It was consecrated by the Pope himself during a visit to the Marmolada in 1979. These cable cars are not only worth the ride for their spectacular views and the glacier experience. One level below, you'll find a fascinating historical site. Here lies a museum dedicated to the First World War, which left its mark on this very mountain. Many of the tunnels and lookout posts carved into the rock can still be visited today. Although much of the ice has melted since that time, it's easy to imagine what life must have been like for the soldiers here. Confined to steep, narrow passages and exposed to extreme cold. Life on the mountain was harsh and perilous. After a short break at the restaurant, dark clouds begin to gather around the peaks. I quickly descend back into the valley, and just before reaching the bottom, the rain begins to fall. Unfortunately, the rain continues for a while, but it also has its advantages. From the mountains, enormous waterfalls emerge in many places, making the landscape even more extraordinary. After a short stop at the reservoir at the foot of the Marmolada, I continue my journey to one of the most famous villages in the Dolomites, Canazei. Located in the Fossa Valley, this village is filled with remarkable buildings, including the traditional wooden chalets. The most striking of all is La Floriana, a hotel unique in its style. With its beautiful woodwork and paintings, it stands out among the other structures. This village is the perfect place to experience the culture of the Dolomites in between the showers. I end my day just north of this charming village, exploring the Gruppo del Catinaccio from above. These impressive, steep limestone peaks are not only a geographical wonder, but also a place full of stories, legends, and myths, once said to have been the palace of fairies and giants. It is a stunning setting where I can calmly prepare myself for my final day in the Dolomites. On my final day, I start early in the morning with a long hike to the Seceda, one of the most iconic places in the Dolomites. Since all the cable cars are still closed and I want to avoid the crowds, I begin my walk at the valley station of Colraiser. You can also choose to take the gondola from here and start your hike from the top. The trail up is steep in some sections, winding through alpine meadows dotted with mountain huts and even small chapels. After about 6 kilometers and a climb of 1,000 meters in elevation, I reach the mountain station of Seceda. With the gondolas still closed, I can enjoy this magnificent place in complete peace. After a short climb to the highest point, where a cross marks the summit, an awe-inspiring view unfolds before me. The jagged, vertical peaks of the Seceda rising dramatically from the earth. It's almost unreal to witness this scene with my own eyes. What a truly extraordinary place this is. From the highest point, I walk toward the peaks. The closer I get, the more imposing they become. But it's not just these dramatic cliffs that are spectacular to see. The surrounding mountains are even true jewels in the landscape. At the end of the trail, I descend a little, then continue for about 3 kilometers along a nearly horizontal path at the foot of the steep rock walls. While the view from the top is breathtaking, this section of the route is equally indescribable in its beauty. One of the most remarkable spots along the way is the Pira Longia, 2 massive limestone pillars that rise vertically from the green meadow. Like 2 petrified giants, they stand silently in the grass. Along the trail, I encounter plenty of wildlife: cows, donkeys, and even alpine marmots whistling through the valley. Right beside the path, I spot something truly special: the Edelweiss flower. It's a magical moment for me, as it's the first time I've ever seen this iconic plant growing in the wild. The total route I walk covers just over 18 kilometers, with an elevation gain of around 1,000 meters. Including rest stops, the hike takes me about 5 hours, though you can shorten it by taking the gondola to Col Razor. Of course, you can also take the gondola all the way to the top of Seceda, but that's more expensive and unnecessary if you want to experience this stunning circular route on foot. Seceda is truly a place you shouldn't miss when visiting the Dolomites. And if you can, make the climb early in the morning before the gondolas start running. The peace and silence at the top are absolutely priceless. After this long hike, I take a moment to rest in the village at the foot of this mountain range, Ortisei. It's the place from where you can take the gondola directly up to Seceda. The charming center, with its richly decorated traditional houses, small churches, and even an old bus stop, makes Ortisei a village worth exploring if you're visiting Seceda. In the afternoon, I have another exciting activity planned. A few kilometers south, I drive to the Sella Pass, home to one of the most unique mountain lifts in the Dolomites. A small white two-person cabin where you can only stand upright. In about 15 minutes, this lift takes you to the impressive mountain ridge between the Langkofel and the Funfinger Spitze. Since I'm not hiking here after my long morning trek, the view from the upper station is somewhat limited, enclosed by tall rock walls. High among the cliffs lies the iconic Tony Demet's hut. This mountain refuge is named after a famous mountain guide from Val Gardena, who tragically lost his life during a rescue mission in this region in 1952. It was built as a tribute to him and is still run by his family to this day. Although the view from the hut itself isn't wide or panoramic, the nostalgic ride to get here is absolutely worth it, and as I descend again in the small gondola, the scenery unfolds into something truly breathtaking. At the end of the afternoon, I drive along some of the most scenic routes, including Passo Pordoi, which reaches over 2,200 meters, and then the Gardena Pass, where again, the most impressive mountain formations appear. With a small chapel set against a towering rock wall, it feels as though you've stepped into a movie. Driving through the Dolomites is truly an adventure in itself. It's not just about the destination, but about the road itself. With every twist and turn, a new view unfolds, rugged and untamed, yet strangely peaceful. Here, you find a deep sense of calm, not only from the surroundings, but within yourself. Among these mountains, everything seems to slow down. As evening approaches, I drive along the western side of the region, passing an imposing castle towering above the valley. The Trostberg is a magnificent medieval castle, first mentioned around the year 1100, making it one of the oldest in South Tyrol. I end my journey through the Dolomites in a green valley with a stunning view of the Odal mountain range. With the famous small church set amidst the green meadows and the dramatic rock formations in the background, it is a truly unforgettable final spot for my visit. Throughout my life, I've had the chance to see many beautiful places, but the Dolomites have truly captured my heart. The winding mountain passes, quiet alpine meadows, and of course the breathtaking rock formations, unlike anywhere else, make this region worthy of its UNESCO World Heritage status. With the stunning views and the most spectacular hiking routes, this has been a journey I will never forget. The Dolomites are more than just mountains. They are an experience that stays with you forever. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next adventures. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.